Have you ever wondered what's really inside a 1970 Dodge Charger 440 Magnum V8 engine? Not just the bold exterior, not just the sound it makes on the road, but deep inside, where that power truly begins. The 1970 Charger wasn't just a car, it was presence. It had weight, attitude, and a kind of confidence you could feel even before the engine started. For many people, it represented strength, performance, and a time when driving felt more direct, more connected. But what gave it that feeling was the engine. For this journey, we are looking inside the 440 Magnum V8, the engine many people picture when they think of a true 1970 Charger RT. At the center of everything is the engine block, large, solid, built to handle force. This is where the energy is created, where movement begins. Inside the engine block are cylinders, strong chambers designed to contain pressure and convert it into motion. Inside each cylinder, there is a piston. Now imagine these pistons moving up and down, one after another, in a precise sequence, not randomly, but carefully timed, each movement connected to the next. But the piston doesn't move on its own. It needs energy. And that energy begins with fuel and air. In the 1970 Charger, fuel enters through a carburetor, a mechanical system that mixes fuel with air, without electronics, without sensors, just balance and design. This mixture flows into the cylinder where the piston is ready. As the piston moves upward, it compresses the mixture, tightening it into a smaller space, increasing its energy, preparing for ignition. Then, at exactly the right moment, a spark. The spark plug ignites the mixture. A controlled explosion takes place, pushing the piston downward with force. And that force is what gives the Charger its power. The piston is connected to a crankshaft, which turns that up and down motion into rotation. That rotation travels through the drivetrain and eventually turns the wheels. But here's where the Charger stands apart. It wasn't just about movement. It was about power, delivered with intensity. These engines were built to produce strong force, quickly. The pistons move with speed. The crankshaft turns with strength, and everything is designed to respond when needed. Now, let's look at something deeper, something not always seen at first glance. Inside the engine, timing is everything. As the crankshaft turns, it drives the camshaft. The camshaft controls the valves, opening and closing them at exactly the right moment. The intake valve opens, allowing fuel and air to enter. The piston rises, compressing the mixture. The spark fires, creating power. Then the exhaust valve opens, releasing what remains. And the cycle repeats, over and over, in perfect rhythm. But in a Charger engine, this rhythm is faster, stronger, more aggressive than many other vehicles of its time. That's part of what gives it its unique feel. Now, consider the materials. These engines were built with durability in mind, but also performance. Strong metal components, designed to handle higher stress, higher temperatures, and greater force. So, every part had to work under pressure. And yet, the design remains simple enough to understand. No hidden electronics, no complicated systems, just mechanical precision. That's one of the hidden strengths of this engine. It may seem powerful and complex, but when you look closely, it follows the same basic principles as many engines of its time. Fuel, air, compression, spark, motion. But the difference is in how those elements are balanced. In a Charger, everything is tuned for performance. The timing, the movement, the force, all working together to create something more intense. Now think about the experience of driving one. You press the accelerator, and the response is immediate. You feel the engine, not just hear it. The vibration, the sound, the movement, all connected. That connection comes from this mechanical design. Nothing is filtered. Nothing is delayed. It's direct. And that's something many people remember. That feeling of control, that sense of power, that moment when the engine responds exactly as you expect. It's not just about speed. It's about how the power is delivered. And that delivery begins here, inside the engine. Now let's take a moment to appreciate the simplicity behind it. Despite its strength, despite its performance, the engine is built on clear principles. Each part has a role. Each movement has a purpose. Nothing is wasted. And because of that, these engines were not only powerful, but also reliable. With proper care, they could last for years. They could be maintained, repaired, understood. That's something that sets them apart from many modern systems. Today, engines are often hidden behind layers of technology. But here, everything is open. You can see it, you can follow it, you can understand it. And that understanding creates a different kind of appreciation. As we look inside this 1970 Dodge Charger engine, we're not just seeing how it works. We're seeing why it mattered, why it stood out, why it's still remembered. Because it represents a time when performance and simplicity came together, when power wasn't controlled by software, but by design, when engines had character, and that character came from the way everything worked together. Fuel entering, air mixing, pistons moving, spark igniting, crankshaft turning. A cycle repeated again and again, with strength, with precision, with purpose. End quote. And from that cycle comes everything. Movement, sound, experience. This engine is more than just a machine. It's a reflection of its time. A time when cars were built to be felt, not just driven. And even today, when we look inside, we can still see exactly how that feeling was created. Layer by layer, part by part, detail by detail. And these are the hidden details that made the 1970 Dodge Charger engine something truly unforgettable.